So what happens when you're a councilman in an area, but you pledge allegiance to your old high school? Which football games are you going to first? How do you make these decisions?
I mean, listen, in my district, I'm gonna support the folks around. Technically, Anderson High School, a lot of folks in the district go there, even though it's technically not in the district. So, I'm going to support local. I'm going to support these great Austin schools. But it's always Rangers. It's always Rangers, too, up at Vista Ridge. Because, I was not a football guy at all, but I was a band geek and a big lover of football, a huge football fan. So, I don't get out to the old high school games too often. But, if Anderson's playing Vista Ridge, I'm rooting Vista Ridge, and I'm sorry about it.
Yeah. All right. So while we're there, band geek. Oh, you gave us.
I said a keyword.
I gotta know, what instrument did you play? What? Wait. Let me guess.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I want you to guess first.
Let's play the guessing game. You are. I got to pull that one back. Okay, I got it.
I don't like your odds because people usually don't get it.
Oh, man. All right. What I think you were a drummer.
Oh, wow. Okay, no, you got it. That's
No,
that's gnarly. Well, so, yeah, I was a big drumline guy, really, really big into drumline. Usually people will get something like trombone or tuba or trumpet. They get like brass player vibes from me.
Yeah.
And I think the thing I usually get is people view drummers as like real cocky and everything. So I try not to project too much of that, but I guess
but it's in there. It's in there, and you're pulling from it. You said yourself, extrovert. You're pulling that out when you need it. And
it's there. Well,
it's deep inside.
It was really, really formative for my life. It's something that, honestly, I've been told I should bring it more in the campaign trail. The amount of music that I did back in, because Austin's such a music city. I was in, big in high school marching band. Also had like a rock band with my friends. And so, if folks here remember like the Red Eyed Fly or like Momo's downtown back when those venues existed, we went down and we gigged at those. We were a bad high school band, to be clear. I played drum set for it. But we were like a very good bad high school band. Compared to actual adults who knew what they were doing, terrible. Compared to other high school bands, pretty good.
Is there anything better than a trip getting ready? Nope. For a long journey where our podcast released a new appy, searching for a fade fiend, new fixation. Giving this a subscribe is the same sensation. Started with the day ones, they gave us fuel to support the season. Could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here for a reason. Notification bells, text some friends, all to let you know. Check your Bluetooth, connect, talking with Donato.
Welcome in, everyone. Episode 172, Voted Most Likely, with our guest, Adam Powell. Adam, thank you very much in advance. Before we even get going, thank you for joining us today. What's your day been like so far?
Oh, my day's been good. And well, first off, I just have to say I'm grateful to be here. Episode 172. That's fantastic. I'm excited to see what comes at 200 and 300 and all the milestones. But my day's been awesome. It's I'm a candidate for Austin City Council here in North Austin's District 7. So went to a community event down at the JJ Pickle campus, was able to get some work done back here at home and dinner with the wife. So
okay. So let's go into one or two things there. I had some items I wanted to get to, but I got to come back to that. Some of us have never been in politics, Adam, and it just seems like running for a councilman, North Austin, District 7, you said, it feels like you either need to have a tattoo of North Austin, District 7, you have to be at every supermarket bagging groceries for little old ladies that are walking out of there, or maybe even if there's a Boy Scout or a Girl Scout that walks up to you in District 7, you need to make sure you're emptying your wallet or scanning the QR code. It's 2024. Is any of that correct? Like, I'm sure that's what the rest of us feel like. Is there any pressure?
Well, that's the thing. I think one thing that's refreshing about your question is the way you phrase that to me shows that you know a lot about local politics in terms of the actual day-to-day of the election, right? So
Yeah.
When people talk about politics, I think people tend to think like congressional or presidential or these big campaigns with districts that have millions of people. But in my case, District 7 has about 100,000 people in it. And it is a lot of what you're saying. And that's what I love about it. For my personality type, just kind of extroverted, the battery never runs out. Like, it is those conversations at the supermarket. It is, hey, if I'm talking to anyone in this district, I'm going to ask them, what's important to you in the community? What should I be tracking on? What do I need to know as I'm running for office? And I think the critical thing is that, that plus the just deliberate outreach, going and knocking on doors, having community events, that's how you win elections. It's the same way, especially in local politics. It's the same way that it's been as long as elections have existed in this country. It's going out, talking to people in person. So it's refreshing to hear that almost the way you phrase it, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, what about the social media and the digital ads and, then the big PAC money and all that. And it's like, I hear that, and there's none of that. But the reality is it's really the face-to-face stuff. It's community driven. And frankly, for me, as somebody who doesn't aspire to go to the state legislature or Congress or anything like that, I'm really just an Austin guy. Yeah. It's my favorite part is all that stuff that you said. But I guess the flip side of that, to be real, is it's like, you get a little less privacy than you had before. You're opting into being a public figure. That suits me perfectly, but it depends on the person,
Yeah. I know you get this one. I tell you, Adam, the North Austin's not what it used to be. I'm telling you, back in my day, why should I vote for you? You don't even know what it used to be like. You're just a young whippersnapper. And I'm sorry, my wife, she's in the other room. She never wants me to do any of my impersonations. I don't think I'm even that good. But to that point,
give yourself a bit more credit. Come on.
What's up with the old people? And I'm probably offending some people there. And I even think I'm older than you. But what's up with the people who are older than you? I know we come at you and like, hey, young buck, what are you going to do? Aren't you too young for this? Don't you need to go? And does that happen? I feel like it's probably happening to you, right?
It does. Well, and for folks listening along, I am 29 years old. I'll be 30 by the end of the election. And I tell people there's a difference in how I talk about that. So when I tell people, I'm 29 years old, they're like, okay. They give me a little look sideways. When I say, I'll be 30 by the end of the election, they're like, oh, okay, cool. There's a threshold crossed there. My youth is quickly turning in memoriam, right? But I think there's always that hill to climb depending on who I'm talking to, especially if it's an older audience. It's hey, what sort of experience do you have that's going to come to that level, right? Yeah. And then I give the actual answers, like, the boards that I serve on, the committees I've been on, my professional experience, that sort of stuff. But I think the main thing I go to with those folks is just, hey, it's my lived experience. I mean, I was born in Austin, St. David's Hospital off I-35. And then I grew up in the area. I grew up in Leander. And I'm quick to tell folks that that's because you have two parents being educators. That's where they could afford a house. It's a decision a lot more folks are making nowadays, and something I want to reverse the trend line on in terms of housing affordability. I want teachers, for example, to really be able to afford to be in Austin if they want to be here. That's a big can of worms. We'll dig into it. But
yes, it is.
The main thing that I say to folks is just, one, it's like, hey, this is my community. I've grown up here, and I've spent almost my entire adulthood moved back into Austin proper. So that's one. And that's kind of like, okay, this isn't some young guy who came in. It's not really his place and he's trying to shake things up. It's like, nah, this is home, right? And I think the other thing is, I've made a ton of videos on the subject, but just local Austin history. So if I'm block walking in Crestview or Brentwood and I'm at a door, right? I'm knocking the door. Somebody comes up and they're like, hey, come on, you're a little young for this. Do you really know the history of this community? I come back at him and I'm like, well, I mean, I know the farms that used to be here. I know there used to be a petrochemical plant. I know that around post-World War II, we had a lot more development here. You have the Wall of Welcome, the mural that was built in 2008. I'm like, I'll spit it back to him because I take a lot of pride in doing the research of the local history. And not as I just want to be able to say it, but for me to know how North Austin came to be, how District 7 came to be, it's critical. And the reality is when you look across District 7, and to take a step back too, that includes like the southern part of it is Brentwood neighborhood, Crestview, Allendale, North Shoal Creek. And then it goes all the way through the Domain, Q2 Stadium, and even up to the Round Rock and Pflugerville boundaries with that kind of whole Walnut Creek area. Almost all of that in 1940 was a field, right? It was farms. It was a wide open space. And 1940 was a while ago, but not that long. And more importantly, we have people who have seen the entire trajectory of different neighborhoods, different areas within there. So I guess the main thing I say is it's like I show people, and I'm clear with, yes, I'm on the younger side for a political candidate, but I've done my research. I dig into the history. And if I didn't put that type of respect into it, then I shouldn't be running in the first place.
100,000 people. Are you rounding up or are you rounding down? You're just giving us round numbers. You wanted some zeros there. What is it, above or below that? Just to be exact. Just curious.
Probably slightly above. We don't have the most recent numbers, but basically so Austin City Council turned into this districted format for the first time back in 2014. So we've only had a decade of having the 10 city council districts. It used to be all at-large seats, which made a lot more sense when the city was smaller. But now that we're a city of around 1 million people, 10th biggest city in the country, it's nice to have the sort of districted approach. For one, because it's a way cheaper campaign to run than if you're running for all 1 million people. The mayoral race that we just saw in 2022, we're going to see it again this year with, Watson running for re-election, other opponents in that race as well. It gets into the millions, right? But a city council race will typically be around 6 figures, like just below or just above. So for, person like me running my first campaign, it's much more attainable. Yeah. But the 100,000 person figure comes from, in 2014, of course, they had the first round of districts. Then a citizen committee came through in 2021 and redistricted. And their focus was trying to make every district roughly the same size by population. Okay. So at that point in time in 2021, District 7 was actually, I'll say it was like 108, 110,000. Yeah. So they moved a neighborhood out and made it smaller to try and have it 100,000. And, in a few years, they'll change it around again to try and get back there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so that's kind of, you kind of answered what I was going to ask next. I just kind of, I'm very curious on like, where do you get your stats from? Because I there's so many questions that I have, Adam, and I'm going to get off of this because we want to get into other
we can
stuff.
Keep going. I love this. I want people to know the reality behind local politics.
But like, okay, 100,000 people. What's the average age? Like, what do you, and listeners, he wasn't ready for all this. He did not know he was going to get all this. So I understand if you need a second for that. But I'm just kind of curious. Like, so let's say the average age is 35. Like in comparison to maybe the other 9 districts, are you an older population? Are you a younger population? Like all of that. I'm so curious about that because you've got to run different from a person in District 2. Maybe you've got more married families. Maybe you have more single people. Maybe you got more cool guys by the name of Donato. I mean, I don't know. Just very curious here. So how do you get those stats? I know I gave you a lot there. And like, what are 2 of the big stats that you kind of focus on when you get this info?
I'll tell you one stat I don't have right off the top is average age. But some other indicators in terms of where a district's at. Yeah. And these are stats that come from the source that I'm doing this off my napkin, so y'all can look it up and fact check me, right? But Housing Works Austin does this great sort of housing report card, and they're a nonprofit focused on researching affordable housing and just kind of the housing crisis in Austin in general. They publish a lot of great information, and they're, I think, pretty much the only entity aside from the city itself that looks at it by city council district instead of by county or precinct or city or what have you. And so that to me indicates a lot of where a district is in terms of how it's changed over the years, what the demographics are. So for example, District 7 is about a coin flip as to whether you're a renter or a homeowner. Oh. So just about evenly 50-50. It's like 51-49 homeowner, I think, technically. And then if you go to District 10, which is Northwest, that's just across Mopac from District 7 and covers a lot of that swaths of Northwest. Super different. It's like 75-25 in terms of homeowners to renters. Yeah. So it tells you a lot about the demographics and the stages of where these communities are at. And like I mentioned earlier, North Austin having been one big field, only a few generations ago. What we see is, and especially throughout the district, different stages of how I guess I would say settled those communities are. So Crestview, Brentwood, Allendale, these are neighborhoods that have had a lot of continuity. They've looked very similar and had kind of a, they're entrenched in a lot of ways those neighborhoods and those communities really like, right? And you have a lot more folks there who have been there for decades and decades and decades. The northern tip of the district in Walnut Creek area, I was talking to some folks out there and they're like, yeah, we only became part of the city in the 80s, right? So it's like, that's when they were like annexed, and those are, newer communities. And to be clear, no preference between either. They're both of those types of categories are vibrant, wonderful North Austin communities, but it does lead to very different demographics, right? Yep. And then even geographically, you go further north, that gets closer to the suburbs. Like I said, Round Rock, Pflugerville, Cedar Park, Leander. And that means that the housing is more affordable further north. So the northern tip of District 7 has a lot of working class families, immigrant families. If listeners here have gone to like Santorini Cafe or the Balkan Cafe, there's even a little North Lamar International District right up there. It's wonderful. It's vibrant. And it's something that is harder to see in the central core of Austin just because things are way less affordable there. Yeah. So all that to say, it's all on a sliding scale. Mm-hmm. And my goal as a candidate is always understand where that community's at, understand where they want to go, where things are kind of going from the larger system of Austin in general. Yeah. And the most important thing is just listen like crazy. So, and to answer your question a little more directly, that was the housing work stat. Other stats is, and this is no secret, campaigns have access to voter file databases. Okay. So I'm a Democrat. I'm on the left side. We have a software called NGP Van, and it has a bunch of voter file information. And it's not like, full NSA type stuff. It is not a ton of information, but it's enough to be able to say, hey, where are people generally who show up, vote for elections, or don't, who we might want to reach out to and activate. Yeah. Because going through a neighborhood and knocking every single door is not a necessarily feasible thing. You got to have some level of targeting of understanding, who's already politically activated I can reach, who isn't, and finding the strengths and benefits from each of those.
I'm so curious. So you're saying you're a local guy. What high school did you go to?
Yeah, I went to Vista Ridge High School up in it's right on the border of Leander, Cedar Park, technically.
Yeah, I'm familiar. I've gone out there plenty of times. Is that in your district? For those who may not know,
it is not. So that is full on, different city, different situation. Yeah.
So what happens when you're a councilman in an area, but you pledge allegiance to your old high school? Which football games are you going to first? How do you make decisions?
I mean, listen, in my district, I'm gonna support the folks around. Technically, Anderson High School, a lot of folks in the district go there, even though it's technically not in the district. So, I'm going to support local. I'm going to support these great Austin schools. But it's always Rangers. It's always Rangers too up at Vista Ridge because I was not a football guy at all, but I was a band geek and a big lover of football, a huge football fan. So I don't get out to the old high school games too often, but if Anderson's playing Vista Ridge, I'm rooting Vista Ridge, and I'm sorry about it.
Yeah. All right. So while we're there, band geek. Oh, you gave us.
I said a keyword.
I gotta know, what instrument did you play? What? Wait, let me guess.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I want you to guess first.
Let's play the guessing game. You are. I got to pull that one back. Okay, I got it.
I don't like your odds because people usually don't get it.
Oh man! All right. What I think you were a drummer.
Oh wow! Okay, no, you got it. That's
No,
that's gnarly. Well, so yeah, I was a big drumline guy, really, really big into drumline. Usually people will get something like trombone or tuba or trumpet. They get like brass player vibes from me.
Yeah.
And I think the thing I usually get is people view drummers as like real cocky and everything. So I try not to project too much of that, but I guess
but it's in there. It's in there, and you're pulling from it. You said yourself, extrovert. You're pulling that out when you need it. Yeah,
it's there. Well,
it's deep inside.
It was really, really formative for my life. It's something that honestly I've been told I should bring it more on the campaign trail. The amount of music that I did back in, because Austin's such a music city. And I was in, big in high school marching band. Also had like a rock band with my friends. And so, if folks here remember like the Red Eyed Fly or like Momo's downtown, back when those venues existed, we went down and we gigged at those. We were a bad high school band, to be clear. I played drum set for it, but we were like a very good bad high school band. Compared to actual adults who knew what they were doing, terrible. Compared to other high school bands, pretty good. But
so then I gotta know, it's senior year. You just got your meal. What table are you sitting at?
Oh, see, this. I have a trick answer for this, which was I almost never ate lunch in the cafeteria. Almost never.
Okay.
So, and people see, especially in the campaign, this is super important to me, is son of educators. And so my mom, she only just a few months ago retired from Vista Ridge. She worked there, a special education diagnostician. So she had her own little office, and I wasn't much for cafeteria food. So it's like, we always just packed lunches and ate together. So, mama's boy, and I was just always eating with her. And then my dad as well, he was an educator for, over 50 years of his life. And he taught me in middle school. So my mom, it worked out. She taught elementary school. Then my dad taught middle school. And then my mom had moved to high school by the time I got there. So from K through 12, there was only 1 year that I went to a school. I think that was 5th grade, that one of my parents didn't teach at. So I was like never in the cafeteria. I was always hanging with the parents. And nothing
wrong with that. Sounds like a lot of pressure, though. I mean, from a guy that knows what detention is like, staying after school and being in the doghouse. That sounds like a lot of pressure. See, if your parents are there, that's like instant trouble. I mean, I get in trouble. They got to send a note home. Then my parents get it, and then I got a little bit of leeway. You're like instantly in jail.
See, that the thing with that though is that I'm the youngest, right? So my older siblings, I saw them kind of like, step over lines, and then it was like, okay, that's the line. I know where not to go. So I was like a very, not rebellious kid. I knew the ways to be rebellious without getting caught, basically. Well, and it was, honestly, I think the bigger pressure that I had growing up wasn't really from the teachers, it was from my older sister. And my older sister is, I say this without a hint of exaggeration, a total genius, 50 times smarter than I've ever been. And so she was a salutatorian at my high school. She went to Harvard. You shouldn't quote me on this exact number. This is me remembering what she said, but my recollection is that she's the 18th African-American woman in the history of our country to get a PhD in astrophysics. She's different. And now she's a professor. Wow. So, all that to say, that was the pressure, because I'd be in a chemistry class or like a biology class, and she was, again, STEM off the charts genius. And so I remember rolling into my chemistry class and my teacher being like, oh my God, you're a Powell. You must be China's little brother, right? And I was like, I am, and you might want to lower your expectations. And it's like, oh, but your sister was the best student I've ever had, like A+ everything. And I must have got like a, C+ tops in that class. With all the science experience. So honestly, that was more the pressure than anything else. Was just, she had come through only a couple years before me and just did it better than I ever could have hoped to. And that said, I'm quick to say this because my dad was very much the same way. He was a professor before he taught K through 12. Also, to me, smartest man I've ever met and ever will meet. He was it, right? But both of them have lacked in common sense, I would say. I'm the practical common sense one. The type who could do things like city council and focus on like, really detail-oriented things, whereas my sister and my dad certainly was as well. They're just like, they could miss some giant things, but then they'd also say and do the smartest things you've ever heard.
All right, so you had an opportunity to go through school. It sounds like you were getting a good push from behind. Doesn't sound like you were salutatorian, but that's okay. We will hold that against you.
What I tell people, in high school, I was definitely in the top half of my class. Okay. And in college, my GPA was about a 3.0, if you kind of spread your eyes at it.
Well, you're higher than me, Adam. You're higher than me. I like to remind people we can't all have the same GPA. We need people with GPAs like I had, Adam, to make you and a 3.0 look better.
I said about a 3. Realistically, it was like a 2.8. That's the thing. It's I was ruthlessly pragmatic about it. But I'm with you. It's like, hey, if I got the degree and somehow, and I saw my sister and my wife is very much the same way of just like super, super smart, right? So it's like I see them, and I know I wasn't that type of student. I succeeded.
No. I was a varsity athlete, and I played all the intramural sports, won all the intramural championships, but made some great friends that are still lifelong friends to this day that I played those sports with. And how can you say that that's not worth it? I mean, the value of a friendship. So I'll take that any day.
You said something there, and I know I'm like wildly jumping between topics here, but intramural sports. So that was, I tell people this all the time in politics, all the time, because for any aspiring, local political candidates out there, you will get yelled at. You will get people coming at you, and that's part of it. And you have to keep it cool because that's your service to the community. You're not there to get in arguments. You're there to listen to people and make change, right? And sometimes people will ask, like, "Hey, how do you deal with that? Like, you get in some heated situations, right?" And I tell them I was an intramural referee when I was in college.
Oh,
yeah, and so I'm like,
masochist.
See, it was the job. It was a part-time job to supplement, make sure I could actually get that degree. And I'm extremely grateful for it. One, because I take a step back, right? Like my main black role model for my entire life was my dad. And then my other big black role model was a guy named Tate, who was my supervisor for intramural refereeing then. And he was an amazing man. He's still around. He's amazing man, doing amazing things, and a just unbelievable mentor. And he taught me so many lessons through intramural refereeing that I literally every single day on the campaign trail front of mine. Because to know from intramural sports, it's like people get heated on it. It doesn't matter if people think there's no stakes or whatever. Like, no, it's just as heated as any other competition. Am I right there?
Oh, no, you're spot on. For the record, I was never indignant, disrespectful.
I wouldn't blame you if you were.
I want to talk. I just want to talk. Adam, I just want to know, why'd you make that call? Come on.
That's it.
Yeah, I know. I'm bringing a little excitement there, but I just got to know, man. I don't know what you saw. I could really see that the ball didn't get past. So it gets.
That's it.
And then, but even you may not like that. And I understand if that rubs you the wrong way. And I always know that. And those teams, I always ran my own teams. I was the captain. And so I was the speaking captain. But you know what? It happened to me a lot, Adam. A lot of times that speaking captain role will get yanked from me. And they're like, hey, I don't want to hear from you again. You're going to have someone else. That happened a lot without being disrespectful or indignant, or at least intentionally. But I guess, you just get tired of these after, I guess, every call that I don't like, me trying to talk to you.
See, that's the thing, though. One of the biggest lessons I learned, and again, I'll credit to my supervisor, Tate. There's an amazing man. He always said, like, what's everyone's job here? Like, what's the job, right? And he's like, you're the referee. Your job is to keep the game under control, make sure that the game is being played by the right rules, right?
Yeah.
You got the players. Their job is to win. Their job is not to play the game by the correct rules. Their job is to win. If they're coming at you and you made the right call, but they're mad about it, that's because it's hurting their chances to win. You can't be mad at them for being mad at you because they're just doing their job, right? Intramural, if they pulled out people, if a team came up with a crew and some fans, then it was, hey, the fans' job is to talk crap on you. Like they're going to heckle you. They're going to scream at you because their job is to support the players to win. you can't get mad at the fans. They can do whatever they want to, right? As long as they're not hopping on the field, as long as they're not messing with the game, because that's their job. And I do the same thing in local politics, right? So, like, for instance, if I'm talking, local journalists, right?
Yeah.
Their job is not the same job as my campaign manager. My campaign manager's job is to make the campaign run well, make me look good, get us to win the election, and be strategic about that. That's not the job of a local journalist. So I want to say the right things, come across well in an article. And to be clear, y'all can look up the articles. I feel good about the quotes I have out there. I'm not worried about it. But even if there was a quote or, I come through in an article or I'm getting ribbed on, it's like, I can't be mad at that. The local journalist's job is to report their truth and contextualize it in the context of the greater community. Their job is not for me. They're not here to make my campaign run better. They're here to inform the community. And similar thing, I go on Twitter, right? I get trolls coming through in the comments, and it's like, that's their job. Their job is to try and get a rise out of me, and my job is to stay above that, right? So
they are. Yes, it is.
A framework I use every single day. Anytime where I'm just like, oh, hold up, why is somebody coming at me like this? I just stop and I'm like, what's their job right here? What's their job? And almost always they're just doing the job that they came here to do. And I'm never going to get mad at someone for that.
Are you still in contact with, was it Mr. Tate? Was his name?
Yeah, we talk occasionally. He's busy because he's getting a PhD now and he's making moves. He is wow. I'll refrain from telling his life story, but he is an amazing guy and had his own playing career in basketball and then had a very accomplished referee career and into academia. And just a man who will be successful in anything he does. But every time I talk to him, I'm just like, hey, thank you for that lesson. I use that lesson every day. And it's true. You
and I will be in contact off air. I think I'm going to need to talk to that guy. He sounds pretty interesting.
You talk about with him for sure.
What he told you. It sounds like he may be on another episode, listeners. You said yourself, before we started on this, you was like, hey, I hate to jump into another topic. Some of that research stuff that you said, are there cameras? Did you hack cameras in my mouth, in my house? That was one of the points I was going to go to. You already got to it.
Oh,
you got me paranoid here.
That's all that is.
Adam, I am paranoid here. I don't know. I'm trying to enjoy the vibe, but a little paranoid. But I feel the question I have here is kind of what you're saying. I bet everyone comes up to you and they just want to drop all the negatives on you. Ain't nobody coming up to you talking about positives, Adam. Am I right? And then when I say that, of course, anytime you paint anything with a broad brush, you're an idiot. But I'm going to say 1 out of 10 people will come up to you and be like, I really like this, or this is really cool. But the 9 times out of 10, it's all negatives, right? Like, hey, man, can you fix this? I really hate this. Or, hey, bud, did you know that? Am I right? Am I kind of close?
I was saying, not just are you right, but I prompt it that way, to be honest. So, and let me put this the right way, right? So, a thing that I say all the time, anyone who knows me, spend any time around me, I'm always talking about how Austin is the best city in the world, because it is. There is no place I would rather exist in this universe than right here in Austin, Texas. Mm-hmm. So I start the conversation there. I say, hey, I'm running for city council in beautiful North Austin, Texas, the best city in the world. Now, that said, you live here, you're in the community, right? I'm at someone's doorstep or I'm in a grocery store, whatever, right? You live here, you're in the community. What do you want to see change? What do you think could be better, right? I invite the negativity because, well, for a couple of reasons. One, I am doing this because I'm trying to make the city better, period. For my kids, I don't have kids yet, but my wife and I will be adopting in a few years.
Wait on it. Wait as long as you can.
We got a plan.
I love these jokes. I got 3, Adam. Love them to death. It's incredible. Wouldn't trade them for anything.
It's something I'm excited for, and we're just getting a little, having kids during a campaign is not the move, right? So, but it's, I'm like, what is the Austin I'm going to leave for my children? What is the Austin I'm going to leave for my grandkids? That's the real one, right? Yeah. Because it's hard. It is a city of 1 million people. District 7 has 100,000 people in it. We're not going to change the city overnight. And again, I do firmly believe this is the place to be. And when you love a place, you work to make it as better as possible. So that's one side of it, right? I want to push it there because that's the end game for me, is make this place better than it is today, even though I already love it. The other side of it is I'm not personally interested in many political points, like scoring good political PR moves, what have you. Because again, I don't aspire to go to DC. Again, the things would have to change a lot at our state's capital for me to be interested in working there. I know folks who work there, have run for office there, and they have that energy in a way that I don't. I have that energy for our city, right?
Yeah.
And that makes it a lot more simple because I can create policy in a courageous way. I can approach problem solving in a courageous way. And to put it differently, I'm not really afraid to like step in it politically and put myself in a tough situation because I'm not building towards some larger career here. I am just trying to do what I truly believe is best for Austin in terms of what I'm hearing from the community and representing that. So if I'm spending my time saying, oh, well, I've worked on this and this is awesome, or, let's talk about how great this neighborhood already is. It's like, that's fine. And if people want to talk about that, I'm here. But I want to hear what is not working. I want to hear a parent say, hey, I ride my bike or I ride bikes with my kid to go to school. And this street is hazardous for us to cross. And I'm starting to think maybe I should just take him in the car. It's like, no, I want you to ride your kid to school on a bike, right? Like that's awesome. So let's find a way to make that street safer. I want to hear that stuff because that's what actually impacts people.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great way to look at it. I was going somewhere different, but I like that.
We can take it there, though. I'm down.
And you said you invited. Listeners, when you see Adam unleash, like, hey, Adam, right. I heard you on Talking with Donato. Pull up a chair, Mr. Powell. I got some stuff to lay on you.
That's right. I'm not joking. I will have calls with people, if I'm calling through people in the community or at their door. I've stood at a door for like an hour and just listened and take notes. Yeah. And the notes I'm taking now, God willing, winning the election, going into office, that's what I'm going to pull out and say, okay, what can we do? Right? We're not going to get everything done, but that's what I'm trying to do.
No, I get that. Adam, they're giving you fuel because I'm going to say 50-50, it's probably higher than that. There's probably someone else that has those issues. So now the next time you go somewhere and you have a crowd, they literally just gave you the roadmap. You're like, and here's what I know about what I need to do here. I know that I need to fix that street light over at the corner of Powell and Donato. Man, it's such a crappy light. And I know that there's a bunch of potholes over on 142nd Street that just keeps taking out everybody's tires. Like, I know that because I know you. How did I do there?
No, exactly. And the other thing too is
Powell impersonation. You said I could keep doing impersonations.
And it was good because, and the other thing too, this will sound a little weird, but hey, it could even be selfish, right? I drive these roads. I ride my bike around the neighborhood. We're talking potholes and streetlights and stuff that, that's what drives me on it. Not just so there is kind of the long-term thing I said earlier of what's the Austin I'm leaving for my kids, for my grandkids. There's also the short term of we can do things right now that literally will make me and my wife's day-to-day easier, that will make my neighbor's day-to-day easier. So it's all of us coming up on it. And, I think if you talk to, for instance, conversations I've had with like congressmen, right, or people who are in those really high offices, and that's, to be clear, amazing work for people who step into the federal arena and want to make change on that level. I have a super high respect for it, especially because I personally don't want to do it. I respect it from a distance. A thing that you'll hear from them is, these could be people who are bringing millions of dollars to Austin or Houston or Dallas or whatever city they represent, millions of dollars, changing federal laws, making such a massive impact. But they'll tell you, I don't see this on the street in front of my house. They're not fixing potholes. They're not doing streetlights. They're not talking about housing, or we'll drop one in Austin, like emergency preparedness, winter storms, water boil notices, like that stuff that falls to the feet of our city government, of our county government. A congressperson, as powerful as they are and as amazing of the work that they do, they'll be the first ones to tell you, like, hey, a lot of that little stuff isn't something they can move the needle on. And so that's kind of what I gave there, was a bit of my pitch of why people should really care about city council, because if you're trying to find something that affects you, literally where you live, the street in front of your house, your sidewalks, where you take your dog, where you go eat lunch, all of that, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the city or county level. And that's what gets me excited. So, hey, you can even see Adam's being selfish because I want to make my community better for myself too.
I like it. I mean, I already was judging you. I mean, anyone that's got a last name that's got 2 L's, man, you being fancy. Why you gotta have 2 L's at the bottom? You're doing too much. I mean, I was already judging you when I saw Adam Powell. I was like, really? I think your name is Adam Poe, but you just added the double L's because it stands out. You can get a little crazy with them. All right, Adam, I got a bunch of notes here. Oh my God, the time is flying. You said something about liking Austin. I used to live in Houston, and I remember I had to come to Austin for work. I'm not from Texas. I had just moved to Houston, and I came out here, and I remember I liked that vibe. This was like 2010, and I really liked the vibe. And I went back to Houston, and I'm talking to all my fraternity brothers, and I'm telling anyone that'll listen, I'm a motorcycle rider. I'm like, yo, Austin is a vibe. We need to go to Austin. Let's just go get some weekend getaways and just like get crazy in Austin.
Yeah.
Adam, you know how it is for people in the really big cities. Number 3 biggest city in America, or Houston. They feel like it's the center of the universe and there's nothing outside. And so I never could talk anyone into wanting to come. But I instantly picked up on it then, and I was a fan. So I'm just kind of curious. We have listeners. Lately, I've been really big over in Israel. So we have people all over the world. Well, it was Mexico for a while, but now
listeners in Mexico, the listeners in Israel, if you're listening in, what's up?
Mis hermanos, I'm still here. I still love you guys. I don't know, Israel's taking over though. They love me. But give us a reason. You said you like Austin. I got it. But they don't know anything about Austin. I want you to give them 2 big reasons why they should like and or visit Austin. Hit us, Adam. Give us something.
Oh, this is good. I'll say, too, this is interesting because there are a lot of conversations on the campaign trail. Selling people on moving to Austin is usually not one of them because, frankly, we're the it city. We sell ourselves. And so, I mean, that's what I would say to start, right? This is a vibrant culture.
Yeah.
You say yourself, Donato, it's the vibe, right? It's understanding that we have this great arts and music scene. We have a food scene that I think is getting better year after year. We have so many wonderful communities and different types of communities, right? So like I said, just in District 7, you can live at the Domain, which is at its core really, it's a very nice shopping place. They got bars. You could work there. You could have all that sort of in your area. You could basically never leave the Domain, right?
Ice cream museum, everyone.
Ice cream museum. It's that's one Austin. And then if you take a trip down to Allendale, which is, by road, like not more than 5 or so minutes away from it, really. And maybe I'm exaggerating, a 10-minute drive. And Allendale will feel like a neighborhood that is nothing like the Domain at all. Totally different, but just as vibrant in its own ways, right? And you see that going past just my strip of North Austin, you see that all across Austin, communities of varying types. And I'm quick to tell people, like, not only can you find your space here, whether that's in North Austin, my favorite part of Austin, or somewhere else, right? You can find your space here. There's something here for everyone in a different part of the city. So that's one. It's vibrant, different types of communities. And then the other thing, too, is, like, I'm clear to say, folks, like, we got our best days ahead of ourselves. We really do. This is a city that it's not just the growth. It's not just, Austin being the it city. It's the fact that we have these exciting things happening, right? So, yes, there's the big things everyone knows. There's ACL, there's South by Southwest, there's Formula One. There's now what I believe is really a world-class soccer stadium and soccer team here. And I'll linger there, right? Austin FC, Q2 Stadium. That's an example of, like, as good as that scene is, its best days are still ahead of itself, or still ahead. Or a soccer team that's only been around since 2021 in terms of playing. So it's like there's so much to come. So as much as people like Austin now, I guess the last thing I'll say is, like, it's very much a city still on the come up, still with so much to do. And my job within this, and what I want to make sure, and this is a bottom line for the entire campaign, is my goal is for anyone who wants to be in Austin to be here, to find a place here. And that's why, like, as our city continues to come up, I'm going to continue to fight for affordable housing to fight for more transportation and mobility, for better water, energy, the things that let people know, hey, you have a place here. No matter your background, no matter what you're here to do, I want you to be here if you want to be here.
Awesome. And phew, you didn't steal my vibe again. I was like, but you're ahead of it. So I have this one question I'm about to do, and then I was going to come back to Austin FC and ask you a question, but I need you to know I'm coming at you sideways with that question. But that one's going to come.
No.
That one's going to come. Listeners, I told them this was just going to be a fun. This wasn't an I get you. I'm going to get them on that one. But this,
I'm ready.
we got to do the first question. The first question is, and we may judge you on this, but it's fine. You say it with your chest, Adam. We got to know, what's your favorite car?
My favorite car? Okay. Let me tell you about my relationship with automobiles. I'm a man, and I promise I'll circle this back here. I'm a man who, when I do a hobby, I get really into it.
Yeah.
Devastatingly into it. And this will relate back to cars because let's say, what's a good example of a hobby I went through? I had a sneaker phase in 2018, right? That was a good time to be into sneakers, right? So it was like built up my collection of sneakers. I kind of tailed off on it because I was like, okay, I got like 15, 20 pairs. And they're good quality. A Jordan 1 is going to last for a decade with how often I wear it, which is not too often.
Yeah.
I'm good, right? But I went in and I got those 15, 20 pairs in just a few months, and then I was just like, okay, I'm done. That's a splurge, to be clear, but not a splurge the type that you get when you're into cars. So my thing, and why, and I'll be honest, and this is a little shameful, but like, I don't change my own oil. I don't do anything to my own car unless it's like flat tire. I can change a tire. I can, I got an air compressor in the trunk or whatever, right? But like, I don't do anything to my own car because I know the moment that I get into cars, I'm going to be like, well, if I just bought this part, we'd be in a better spot. If I did this, we'd be in a better spot. And the next thing you know, I'd be drowning in debt, way out of my means because I couldn't help myself. So I'm into my hobbies, but I keep them manageable. So that said, I know very little about cars. I drive a Ford Fusion. I only drive Fords, actually. And the main reason being that I got family that owns a Ford dealership out in not full on North Texas, but on the way to North Texas. Yeah. So for me, I'm pragmatic. I like my Ford Fusion because they cut me a good deal on it. I got to support the family, so that's how we're rolling.
No, 2013, my now wife and I were boyfriend and girlfriend, maybe engaged at that time. We drove cross country in a Ford Fusion. It was brand new, and we loved it. We loved that little car. We were like,
there we go.
Pretty cool, and we were ripping. But
it's all I need. I'm simple.
We're going to come back. We're going to come back, Adam. I'm feeling judged, brother. What about those of us who are car heads? And so what if we're in debt? That we know we got a problem, Adam. Felt like you was judging us there.
No.
And
the thing is,
and you're right. We're in over our heads. We're kind of addicted. I blame it on Fast and Furious.
See, that's the thing is, I don't blame y'all for a second. The nuance here is I don't trust myself to have self-control within that hobby. I know if I got into cars, it's over.
Yes,
so
sir.
like I said, I'm not even crossing the threshold of learning how to change my own oil because that's a skill.
Yeah,
I keep it to manageable hobbies, right?
No, it's true. It's true.
Ideally, when I have an end game where I'm like, okay, I have my sneaker collection, and now I'm done. Or I got into building gaming PCs, and I only need a gaming PC, and I like soup up, one for my wife or whatever. It's like, sweet, don't need any more than that. I'm done with that now. With a car, there would be no end for me. There would be no end. I would just keep going.
No, you said it yourself. You have the common sense of the family. I wish I was smart enough. But no, Fast and Furious, going to tell my age here, but they sucked me in. That was a black hole, and I've been there ever since. Adam, I had you remember the Cadillac Escalade that's kind of like the SUV, but then the back is the pickup truck?
Oh, yeah.
I had one of those on 24s, and I put a supercharger on it. My gosh. That's
the type of stuff I know I would do. I know I would do that.
And it was wicked fast. I got rid of it for a more family wagon. Them three kids came a calling. I didn't have them all three when I had that. But and that's my wife's fault because she supports all that. Another reason why I had to marry her because I told you I'm a motorcycle guy. She lets me have all the cars I want and do what I want to them. I had to marry that woman.
That sounds healthy. You get you someone who knows you right. I love it.
Yeah. Oh no. If anybody asks me for relationship advice, I always offer them that. All right. Let's get to the bad stuff. Adam, I want to know what your negatives are, and I'm just going to start with this to give you a little time to think. Because again, listeners, he wasn't ready for this, but
I'm more ready than you think. Let's do it.
I hope everyone's looking at this. He's wearing an Austin FC shirt. If you're not, and you're just listening, Adam, I'm going to go ahead and try to find a negative. What are the last 2 Austin FC games you've been to, and did they win them?
Oh yeah, last one I went to, it was a few weeks ago. It was against was it San Jose? I want to say. Pretty sure it was San Jose. That game was the best Austin FC game I've been to in person for a very long time, and probably ever, because we won 4-3, and we won in extra time. It was a last-minute goal by the one and only Sebastian Driussi off of a deflection from Jazzy Zardes at the edge of the box. Got that thing in there, and next thing you know, I've gone the whole game. I'm not a supporter section type. I like to be able to sit down most of the game or whatever, but I do yell. And I've gone most of that game with my friend Zach and not yelling at all. And I was like telling him, like, oh, dude, I'm going to be able to speak tomorrow. When that goal went in, because it was 3-3, extra time, deep in extra time. And I'm like, okay, it's a draw. It's a point. It is what it is. I'm good with a point, right? But no, when we got that goal, next thing you know, I was jumping up and down the aisles. I was screaming. I was like holding hands with the guy I've never met before because we're just because we're just like, they did it. Sebastian Driussi is the best player in the MLS, right? So that was the last one. One before that, I'm trying to think because I went to another one this year before that, and that's what it was. It was against St. Louis City.
Yeah.
I was there with 3 separate friends is why I'm remembering it. And I'm pretty sure that one was a 1-1 draw, I want to say. We might have actually lost that one. It was either a draw or a loss. And that's the thing, because and I'll tell you, challenge me on the Austin FC knowledge because I'm ready. We can dig into the nuances of Musa Jite's loan spell in the second league of Turkey. Like, I'm down. Let's do it. But the point is that, where the team's at right now, I got a lot of confidence. I think last season was difficult. 2022 season before, we probably overperformed to have as much success as we did. This year, I feel strong in terms of we're going to end around 4th or 5th seed in the Western Conference. We might have a chance at making a run for the Cup. And then really the team is just a matter of, and this will sound really simple, right? But last year, our biggest struggles was when Sebastian Driussi was injured. He is the best player in the MLS, and I'm going to die on that hill. Liverpool wanted to sign him.
Wait. Adam, I'm sorry. You were flowing, brother, but you do know Messi is in the country?
Okay. Aside from Lionel Messi, I'll give you that.
Okay.
Aside from Luis Suarez,
okay.
We could probably throw on there. Oh man, why am I forgetting his other name? The third guy who came over from Barca. Okay, so aside from those 3 gentlemen over at Inter Miami, Sebastian Driussi is the best player in the MLS.
I was going to say, man, he really is drinking my Austin Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I'll give you that. But Sebastian Driussi, he was injured a lot of last season. And when our best player and one of the best players in the MLS is injured, we're going to play bad. And it was easy to lose sight of that because the other players were playing bad too. People were questioning what Josh Wolf was doing. But I think we see the vision. We've won, 4 out of our last 5? Brad Stuver, and I'll say this without a hint of exaggeration, Brad Stuver is the best goalkeeper in MLS. I know Hugo Lloris is over at LAFC, and I don't care. Brad Stuver is the best goalkeeper in MLS and a bastion of our community. So there's a lot to love with Austin FC. That's all I'm saying.
Well, you flunked it, and I'm sorry, rivals of Adam Powell. I hope you guys download and listen to this. I tried. Y'all saw that. What I wanted, Adam, I'm a hater. I need you. I like you, but I just need you. I'm just telling you who I am. Man, I was hoping that they lost both games you've been to, so then I could say it here, and then that's the clip I use. Hey, Austin, Adam Powell, when he goes to games, we lose. It's Adam's fault.
You're trying to pull the Ted Cruz curse whenever Ted Cruz goes to a big Texas game or any Texas sporting game.
Yeah.
I'm not cursed like that man, and I have way better policy than that man, even though I'm never going to represent it.
In a funny way. But now that you bring up the Ted Cruz thing, man, I don't want to do that to you. I'm here for the giggles. But okay. So I filibustered. See what I did there? Just did the political term for you. Give us your answer. Adam Powell, what's a negative? Something tells me I know what your negative is.
What do you think it is?
I think people come over your house and you just go off on rants about your last trip to Albuquerque, New Mexico. You're going into minutia about, Albuquerque is great, man. It's just a vibrant city, and I think it's in another 15 years, it'll be Albuquerque. Am I right?
No, you're right. Well, so here's the thing is, it's kind of like the hobby thing. I don't do it halfway. So I am very grateful and blessed to be in a spot where my closest friends are friends I've had since high school, legitimately. Yeah. I have some other close friends who are slightly newer, but like really my tribe is people that I've known since I was like 14. So because of that, it is true that I will talk their ear off about all this local politics stuff. And to be clear, these friends are not in local politics. They're in IT and they're doing music stuff and they're teachers, like they're doing other things.
Yeah.
And they know me. They'll nod along, they'll listen, and then they'll get to the point where it's like, Adam, let's talk about something else. I'm like, yeah. That's one thing. I can't do it halfway. Let's see. Other negatives about me. We can keep going.
Only one. You'll only have to give me one other.
Well, here's the thing I will say, and I humble myself often on this.
Yeah.
And it goes back to what I said about my sister and my dad, right? Of just like being that close to genius. I'm not a genius. I will freely say, and this also comes from a place of respect for the current city council members. I mean, I have a lot of respect for a lot of the folks up there on the dais right now. And I never portray myself in the campaign as somebody who is a visionary, like a true visionary, someone who has some sort of master plan that hasn't been thought of before. I don't see myself as that guy, and I don't think I'm that guy. So that's, and people can say it's a negative, and I wouldn't fault them for it. I am my whole policy, my whole approach to local governance is what we talked about earlier. Listen to people, get the problems, do what I can to solve them. It's a death by 1,000 cuts. It's a larger, kind of effect. But the thing is like, people will be like, hey, what's your like grand policy that you're doing in year one? And I'm like, it's probably nothing, honestly. It's probably year one is mostly going to be me hunkering down, doing the little things for the community bit by bit. I'm not saying I'll never do a big policy, but I'm not hopping straight into that because I'm not going to pretend to be smarter than anyone. The only thing I'll pretend to be, and not pretend to be, the thing I know I am is at a level of commitment where I can do the work, put political will behind people. So that's, and it isn't negative. People are looking for a truly visionary, next level policy leader. I don't think I'm that guy.
No, every negative is a positive is how I see life. And the positive I see it that is, this is what you're saying. I work for now, not now, but right now. And we're in the now. Like you said to yourself, you said, if I could do something that makes your and your wife's commute every day better, I think it's about what you said. Yeah. That's what it's about. The rest of us got to make that commute too, Adam. So help out your wife, man, because you helping out my wife. And I got to hear her complain about that. And she could talk to me about, the next $200 she's going to give me to get something new for my bike. But anyway.
Yeah, there we go. Well, and I'll say too, it's like, I'm grateful that if I look at city council right now, there are some of those visionary leaders in place already. I think, I'll give some shout outs right now. So like Councilmember Jose Velasquez, to me, he is a model of the type of council member I want to be. And I'm grateful he's endorsed me as well. I got his support. Yeah. But he's a model for the exact style of governance of listening to people, making solutions, and have that be your larger effect. If I'm looking at like true visionaries, I mean, I think, people should take a look at what Councilmember Vanessa Fuentes did with childcare, right? Oh. She heard, and she has a background that filters into this of childcare is extremely expensive in our city. And she has led the charge and attacked that from a variety of policy solutions that are just things I would have never thought of, right? And that I think hadn't been thought of in our city yet. But then people are coming through and they're saying, oh, it should be easier for people to start in-home childcare centers and for the city to have incentives to support that. It should be less restrictive where you can put a childcare center. Turns out our city's really restrictive on that. You should be less restrictive so we have more centers, more childcare options, drive the prices down for regular people to be able to pay for that.
Yes.
That's visionary stuff, and she did that, and is still doing it. I look at Natasha Harper Madison. Got to give credit again. She is our only Black city council member. She's definitely a model for me there, Black leadership in our city, and she's done a lot of that same visionary work. So I look over there and I see, there are visionaries on the city council. That's not the role that I'm going to fill. Maybe in fits and spurts. I'm not saying I'm never going to try for big policy, but it's cool to see that there are some great leaders doing that already, in my estimation.
No, it's needed. I've got two last questions here. I don't think I'm going to do my typical out, so we'll finish with these two. What would you want to do more? Hit the game-winning shot in Game 7 of the NBA playoffs to win the championship, or hit a home run in the 9th inning to win the World Series? Oh, NBA and both of these are at home in front of home fans.
NBA for sure. I've never been a big baseball guy. And no disrespect to baseball. I mean, if gun to my head, I'm a Rangers fan, but I just don't really keep up with MLB. But I will say, I think we might witness this happen with my team. I'm an OKC Thunder fan, and they're doing it. They're doing it big. I think we might see that exact situation play out with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So if there's a chance that I could swap spots with Shai or Chet Holmgren or Josh Giddey or whoever would be doing that, I mean, yeah, I'd take that shot for sure. Home runs are great. I love a baseball game. Shout out Red Rock Express and all that, but I'm picking NBA every time.
No, nothing wrong. This is the one I'm going to end with. You kind of already told us about your friends, but I'm going to use the word peers. What do your peers say to describe you? How do they describe you?
That's a good one. I would say my peers in local politics and kind of in that space. The thing that, and I'm leaning towards the positive part because it's what I hold on to.
Sure.
When people say this guy loves Austin so much, I hear that a lot, and that to me is the best compliment I could ever get. And I'm gonna get a little real for a moment here. And I maybe alluded a little bit to in this conversation, but I don't think I've outright said it. I mean, I do this work. I decided to run for office following the example of my parents, right? Like my mom who just retired, and we're only a few days away from this. We're recording this on May 7th. On May 2nd, back in 2022, my dad passed away. And he was a man who spent over 50 years of his life working as an educator. I had been kicking around the idea probably since 2019 of running for this spot, knowing that, and a little background context too, it's an open seat. The current council member, Leslie Poole, is term limited. So I knew this was like a lane, something I could look into. But I know for sure it was when he passed away, and I was looking at his legacy. And I've always thought, like, if I can be 10% of what my dad was in his life and what he did, coming up in Mississippi and then Chicago, getting a PhD as a Black man in Chicago in 1972, becoming one of the earliest professors of psychology at Yale and UT, and then having this amazing retirement career teaching K through 12. He's the best man I've ever met and ever will meet. I'm like, if I can do a fraction of that, that's what I want to do. And when I was thinking about his legacy and the tens of thousands of students that he helped, what I thought was, if my legacy is that this guy loves Austin more than anyone else, that's it. That's like it. When I'm gone, that's what I want people to say about me. And on top of that, he was a good husband and he was a good father.
Oh, hey.
If that's what people say, life complete. I could wish for nothing better than that. So
yeah,
that's where I land on.
Man, we took him through the gamut, Adam. We gave him some laughs. We got serious. We gave him some stats. We ended with the heart-tugging moment. Hey,
it's all because you know what you're doing, Janata. You're a professional. You know how to steer these conversations.
I'm telling you, it's great, and more importantly, it was fun, Adam. I mean, we're at I'm going to do some editing, but we're at an hour and 1 minute. I mean, I
love it.
We blew through it. I didn't get through all of my questions here, but I always love that because I leave that meat on the bone and get some feedback in the comments, and let's bring them back. So,
hey, I'll come anytime you want to talk. I'm gonna keep coming by.
This was awesome, and the most important thing is I don't think we leaned too far into political no man's land. I don't think we alienated anybody here. I just think people had the opportunity to just have a great conversation and find out something about you. And for that, I don't think we're wrong.
Well, and I gotta say too, this is local politics in action, y'all. If you're listening to this and you enjoyed this conversation and you felt there were some meaningful things said about the future of Austin or wherever you are, your community, I mean, what I challenge people all the time is find the local government or local committee or entity that affects your life. And you listening to this, you can make an impact on it. I guarantee it. Half of it's just showing up and caring. And if you're hearing today and like to not say, I agree, we're not stepping into political no man's land. This stuff gets emotional and heated sometimes, but it is a different type of thing. We're not hopping into the intense partisan nature of national politics. We're not hopping into doomer headlines that you see on social media that make you feel depressed. I truly believe local politics is the most energizing stuff out there. I wouldn't be doing it otherwise.
Yeah.
So, that's my challenge, folks.
Adam, how do they stay in contact? How do they get more info? I think you're a great TikTok follow, but for those that are listening, how do they keep in touch and follow?
Number one thing is going to adamforaustin.com. That is FOR or the number 4. I got both domains, so work with either. adamforaustin.com. There you can would definitely encourage y'all to at least sign up on the front page, get onto my email newsletter. You'll stay up to date on events, fundraisers, opportunities to get out in the community and help out the campaign. Other thing on that website, we've got a tab called Community Conversations. Is an open forum. Anything that you want to write in there that you think I should know, I personally read through everything that gets submitted there. So if you're hearing this and you're in Austin, and whether you're in North Austin or not, right? Or hey, even if you're out of the city and you have some thoughts about Austin, put them in there. I want to read them. I want to take that into account. And then I'll also say on that website, I have to make this plug. This is a grassroots campaign, and I got staff members to pay, printing materials to buy, taxes to pay, all this sorts of stuff. If you can make a donation, that is massive. From $5 all the way up to, thankfully, Austin has donations capped at $450. Okay. Nobody can drop $100,000 on me and buy me out. I'm unbuyable. But a $450 investment or anything below that is massive for us. And then outside of that, all the social medias is Adam Powell ATX. That's Twitter. I refuse to call it X. Definitely the TikTok and Instagram. Both of those have my local history content on it, as well as the campaign stuff. And I'm barely on Facebook, but you can go Adam Powell ATX over there too.
Adam, thanks a lot, man. You were great, and more importantly, thanks for having the conversation with me.
Of course, and everyone listening right now, wherever you're listening to this, make sure you follow, make sure you rate or like or subscribe, support Donato. He's killing it. He's doing the work right now, and I'm just honored to be here.
Thank you, sir. Very gracious of you. And everyone, I hope you enjoyed as much as I did. Thanks for listening.